What if I told you that there was 3 arguments for God that are so powerful, so easy to understand, so convincing, and so easy to use that you can convince virtually anyone with just these 3 arguments, or 1 or 2, or a combination of them? They are the cosmological, teleological, and moral arguments. And the reason they're so simple to understand is because they all deal with things that we can all tangibly understand and feel, or with simple logic. Let's start with the cosmological argument, and we're going to have some Squadbusters gameplay in the background. The cosmological argument is in some ways the simplest and in some ways the most complex of the 3. The cosmological argument, this is a universal rule. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. A computer mic, it began to exist by a manufacturing company. That manufacturing company exists because someone started that company. You trace these line of causes all the way back, and then there has to be one uncaused first cause. There has to be one domino that starts the line of the domino chain. Something needs to be there before anything else. And that something is God, because the universe also began to exist like everything else. And that's the Big Bang. We can prove that the universe began to exist. Some people say it's 14.5 billion years ago. The science is still out on that. But the universe did begin to exist, and we can see that from the ripples of the Big Bang. Then next is the moral argument. The moral argument says, if objective right and wrong exist, they must come from something beyond us, like God. So, the moral argument, you need to have, if anything at all, is universally morally wrong, then there is a God, because a moral prescription needs a moral prescriber. A moral law needs a moral lawgiver. You need something to write that on our hearts. If there's 2 opinions, cannibalism is good and cannibalism is bad, there needs to be one supreme authority that says cannibalism is bad. Otherwise, they're just different opinions. And that's what the postmodern movement does. It just says, well, those are different opinions. That's not objectives. That's to live your truth. And that's why they take away... When they take away Christianity, they take away objective goodness, truth, and beauty, then obviously you get degeneracy, lies, and ugliness. That's just the natural result of it. So you get the live your truth model, which means that there's no objective truth, even though you have to operate with some semblance of objective truth. You need to see, I expect that, my medications I'm getting are objectively not going to kill me, and, I need to know that my pilot is genuinely not drunk when he's flying the plane, and stuff like that. We know that those are objective truths, but just some people don't see that objective truth can exist, even though we always expect it and know it in many areas of our life. And then it's self-defeating. If someone says you can't know truth or live your truth, well, is that an objective truth, or is that also a relative truth? Just apply the claim to itself. So moral right and wrongs exist. Something needs to give those moral right and wrongs, and that something is God. And skeptics can say that we can build morality without religion, and yes, that is true, because that's intentional, because God put that moral law in our hearts, and that moral law will point us to Him, because objective morals can't exist without God. Next, we have the teleological argument. It's all about design. Nature is very complex and very finely tuned, like a machine, which makes it seem like someone designed it. The book, I made a video about this, and you can see it after this. It's War and Peace. The book War and Peace has 587,000 words. The simplest one-celled amoeba has 100,000 times more information than War and Peace. That's 500,000 times 103,000 times more information. That one-celled amoeba. You can't get that from just chemicals mixing in an ocean. You can't get life at all from chemicals mixing in an ocean. That's the simplest life. The simplest life has 100,000 times more specified, complex information than the book War and Peace. You need something to design that. Life is so designed. The universe is so designed. There's cosmological constants where if gravity was off by the slimmest percentage, then the entire universe would collapse on itself. You need something to start. You need something to design all of it. The universe is so clearly designed, so we need that design from somewhere. Design doesn't appear out of nowhere. Everyone knows this. If you see a message left in the sand somewhere, you wouldn't just think that's just wave patterns. No, you would think someone wrote that message in the sand. That's why it's there. It's designed. Someone wrote the message in the sand. So yeah, those are the 3 arguments. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time.